Hey, thanks for tuning in. I've got a question for you. Do you know what the biggest advance in firearms has been, at least so far, in the 21st century? Well, let me give you a hint. It was first described by an Austrian physicist in 1842. Well, let me give you another hint. It has to do with ballistics, and more specifically, exterior ballistics. If you think you know it, put your idea in the comment section below now and click comment. Not sure? Well, the big advance I am referring to is Doppler radar. Now, I'm not referring to such things like the lab radar that very easily allows us to get muzzle velocities and even tracks our bullets for a bit. No, chronographs like the lab radar and the Garmin Zero are sort of commercialized byproducts of Doppler radar research. And that is the big advance. Let me set this up in a historical context so it makes good sense. You know, radar really has not been around all that long. In World War II, radar was in its absolute infancy. But since that time, continued developments in radar have made all sorts of improvements, including the invention of Doppler radar, which traces its roots back to synthetic aperture radar, SAR, that came about in around 1935 and was more advanced in the 1950s. Now let's fast forward just a little bit to the 1990s when a company called Infinition developed ballistic instrumentation radar systems. Just a few years later, a company called SciTac, that many of you may have already heard about, developed what they called the balanced flight projectile and controlled spin projectile, which led to patents in 2002 and 2003. Now, this was only possible by using Doppler radar. Ballisticians working on this advanced sniper weapon system were able to track a bullet, a projectile, every meter of its flight path out to 3,000 meters. And what they learned was that bullets, the bullets that they were looking at, commonly used bullets, were flying in a nose-up orientation, far more than they ever expected to happen. Now, this nose-up profile increased drag and degraded long-range performance. Using the data that they had collected with Doppler radar, they were able to modify, develop an entirely radically new bullet design with very low drag and, in fact, what they ended up calling the balanced flight projectile. And that is the legacy of the 408 SciTac. Later, companies like Barnes Bullets and Hornady started using Doppler radar around 2014 and 2015. And for Hornady, that led to a patent on their side occurring in 2022 for their drag variability reduction technology. If you're interested in learning all about that patent and that development, I'll put a link in the description below for one of Hornady's podcasts describing DVRT. So you see, Doppler radar research has resulted in two major advances. One is the development of improved bullet designs that reduce drag, improve the aerodynamic properties or characteristics of those bullets, and actually, I'm not convinced that those innovations are even over with yet. I suspect that as more companies, or as companies like Hornady, Barnes, Berger perhaps, other big bullet companies, as they continue to use, or in some cases, as some companies start to use Doppler research, then they will also improve their bullet designs. And what we're going to see is a big benefit for us shooters, especially those of us interested in precision long-range rifle shooting. We're going to be the ones reaping the benefits of that Doppler radar research. We already are reaping those benefits. Now, the second major advance derived from Doppler radar research relates to our trajectory or ballistic solvers. You see, for quite a long time, we have been using ballistic solvers, trajectory calculators that depended originally on the G1 ballistic coefficient and much more recently the G7 ballistic coefficient. Both of those are models of projectiles. In fact, if you have two bullets, maybe one is made by Sierra and the other one's made by Berger, and they both happen to have the same ballistic coefficient, whether it's G7 or G1, and you run that through your ballistic calculator, your favorite ballistic solver, the trajectory will be absolutely identical because those solvers are based on the number, ballistic coefficient number. And any two bullets with the same number will fly exactly the same, as long as they have the same muzzle velocity and so on. But that's not true. We know that that doesn't reflect reality. A given bullet made by Berger and another given bullet made by Sierra that happen to have the same ballistic coefficient rating will not fly exactly the same, even with the same muzzle velocity. And that's because of the actual shape of that bullet, the length of the boat tail, the diameter of the boat tail, the shape of the ogive, tangent ogive, secant ogive, hybrid ogive, the type of tip on the mepla, polymer tip, no tip, open tip, all these things make a difference on how that bullet actually flies, even though it might have the same ballistic coefficient. Today, Doppler radar research has allowed ballistic solvers like Fordorf, Hornady's Fordorf, Lapua's 6DOF to completely replace the simpler ballistic coefficient value, completely replace it with the actual drag coefficient of a specific bullet, the Hornady A-tip 230 grain bullet, the 168 grain Sierra Match King, the 168 grain tipped Sierra Match King. The actual bullet's characteristics is tracked from muzzle to terminal, and every meter from that point out to this point, that is then integrated into the Fordorf and 6DOF solvers to give us the best available trajectory calculations, including the effect of wind on these bullets, the effect of the atmosphere on these bullets, and so on and so forth. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that even more advances will come with Fordorf and 6DOF as additional experiments are done under different atmospheric conditions. Now, for those of us who really like precision shooting and long-range precision shooting, this is important. And really, the advanced bullet designs are interrelated to the advanced ballistic solvers. And I think that in the future, as more advancements are made in bullet design, that what we're going to see is that the G7, even the G7, which works so much better than the G1 ballistic coefficient, even the G7 will sort of become antiquated or obsolete because it won't be able to model those more advanced bullet designs that are starting to come out. We're starting to see on the market right now. Now, you know, the G7, even the G1, actually still does work pretty darn well, especially for relatively short-range shooting, even for precision rifles. And in my experience, we don't see too much of a practical difference out to, or maybe out to up to 700 yards or so. Beyond that, that's when we really start seeing the differences. Or even in a shorter distance, when we are dealing with wind effects that are not perfect crosswinds or perfect headwinds or so on and so forth. So what do you think is the most important advance in firearms this century? Do you agree with me that it's Doppler radar and Doppler radar research? Well, I'd like to hear your thoughts and ideas about all this. Feel free to post those into the comment section below. And once again, thank you for watching.